Hi, Rod Fleming here. Today we're going to talk about Trent College in England and the Reverend Dr. Bernard Randall. But before we get into that, and it's a juicy one, remember please to like and share the video, to go onto one of the funding links please, and just send a small amount of money. We need the money, please. I can't continue to provide all this massively wonderful education and entertainment if you don't help out. So please, PayPal, Patreon, GoFundMe, Ko-Fi, Buy Me a Coffee. They're all there. To the story at hand. In 2019, a chaplain called Dr. Bernard Randall, 48, a Doctor of Divinity, obviously, who was the chaplain to Trent College near Nottingham in England, he told his students that they were entitled to disagree with the measures enacted by the school in terms of what are called LGBT policies. They were entitled to disagree with them. He didn't say they were entitled to break the rules, he just said you can disagree with the thinking. The school later flagged Dr. Randall to the terrorism police called the Prevent Programme, but the police found he posed no counter-terrorism risk. And bear in mind, this is for telling people that it's okay to disagree with something. Think about it. Dr. Randall also claimed that the school warned him that future sermons would be censored in advance, and he was later dismissed, leaving his career and life in tatters. And now, the reason the story has come back up to the surface is he's suing the school for discrimination, harassment, victimisation and unfair dismissal, with his case is set to be heard this month, that's June. Now, the original sermon was delivered in June 2019, and this is what he actually said: "You should no more be told that you have to accept LGBT ideology than that you should be told that you must be in favour of Brexit or must be a Muslim." And that's fair enough, you know. But he stressed that pupils need to treat each other with respect, regardless of their beliefs. So what was wrong with that exactly? He's basically said, you know, you don't have to agree with someone, but as long as you're respectful, that's okay. He had learned of the police referral in documents given to him ahead of a disciplinary hearing. They didn't even, bother to ask him, and told the Mail on Sunday he had visions of being investigated by MI5 of men knocking down the front door. And in fact, in Britain today, that is a very real risk. Wokeism it's epidemic in Britain at the moment. It's really in a bad way. The chaplain Dr. Randall had joined the school in 2015 to provide pastoral care and to lead the school services. And by the way, this is a Church of England school. This is a Christian school, you know. Most schools today in Britain are secular, they don't have chaplains. This one only had one because it's a Christian school. And what Dr. Randall was saying is, well, this is what the Christian viewpoint is. That we don't agree with some of this, but we must treat those we don't agree with respect. He's just stating the point of the church. I'm not an Anglican, by the way, I don't follow that church, but for goodness sake, he's an Anglican minister acting as pastor inside an Anglican school, and he's been referred to the police and was ultimately fired for stating the Anglican position on something. I mean, it's really beyond belief. It really is. And he said he had his original sermon had been prompted by concerns over an organisation named Educate and Celebrate, run by a certain Dr. L.A. Barnes, which was invited to provide LGBT inclusion training in the school. Now, we have a big problem with this inclusion training thing in Britain at the moment, and it's something that is going to have to be addressed and basically stopped, but never mind. Dr. Randall later alleged that he had been sidelined from the programme when he said some of its beliefs were contrary to Christian values, which I'm afraid they are. Now, you can argue all you like about whether you think these particular values are right. I'm not going to get into some sort of doctrinal argument with people here. I'm a Christian, and it doesn't bother me that my wife is trans. My wife is trans, and it doesn't bother her either. And we go to Mass, it's a bit tricky when it's locked down, but when it's not locked down, we go to Mass, and nobody there gives a monkeys either. So, not everybody is quite as up themselves as the LGBT crew are in the West. The former Education Minister, Sir John Hayes, told the Mail on Sunday that if the claims were true, then the school had behaved appallingly. And I think it's more than appalling. What's happening here is that people are being bullied into silence. They're being bullied into accepting a particular slant and a particular point of view. And I think that that's not acceptable. It's bullying. That's all it is. There is such a thing as a right to free speech. And people should be allowed to express it. And if they're not allowed to express it, then you've lost your freedom. We've lost everything that you fought, any wars that we ever fought for, and we did fight plenty. Dr. Randall, the chaplain, said that being reported as a potential terrorist, extremist, and a danger to children are arguably the worst crimes you could be accused of. And remember, this is just for saying that it was all right to disagree with someone, as long as you did it respectfully. That's all it was. When I found out that they had reported me without telling me, they didn't even bother telling. My goodness, what utter trash these people are. My mind was blown trying to comprehend it. I had gone to such lengths in the sermon to stress that we must respect one another no matter what, even people we disagreed with, which is the whole point of his sermon. His sermon was not about LGBT. His sermon was about respect and the fact that if you disagree with someone, that's okay. It's okay to disagree. You can disagree with me, I won't care, as long as you treat me with respect. And that's why, by the way, if you're on my channel or on my site and you start with ad hominems and insults, you're out, gone, finished, barred. I don't mind what you say, as long as you say it politely. But when people start with aggression, passive aggression, and downright insults, you're history. And that's the way it should be. You treat the people you disagree with respect. No exceptions. He said, I am not ashamed to say that I cried with relief when I was told that the report to the terrorism police was not going to be taken further. This poor man. Yet I ended up being told that I had to support everybody else's beliefs no matter what, while my Christian beliefs, that is the Church of England's beliefs, were blatantly censored. So, this man is a priest. He's an Anglican priest. And he's being told, you must prefer other people's viewpoints over your own ones or the ones that are held and mandated by your church. This is insane. Andrea Williams, Chief Executive of the Christian Legal Centre, added, when an ordained Church of England minister can't give a simple sermon in a Church of England school, which it is, without being reported as an extremist and hounded out of his job, then who is safe? And the fact is that in Britain today, nobody is safe. Britain has become an absolute cesspit of wokeism. And something needs to be done to stop it. The clock, needs to be turned back one way or another. And Reverend Randall is taking Trent College to an employment tribunal, which will be held at the end of this week. It will begin at the end of this week, next week, June the 14th, 2021. The college, by the way, I've read here from 3 different newspaper reports. In no case did he even condescend to comment. And that is, again, one of the problems with these people, is that they use every nasty little trick they can think of to damage other people and get their own way. And yet, when there's any risk of them being put in the public eye, they don't want to know. They're scurrying for the dark places like the rats they really are.